I ain't going to preach to you this morning, so don't worry about that. I just like to have the good book with me when I come up here. But it was good to be here this morning. I thank Brother Gary for give me this opportunity, for the church to give me this opportunity. And I'm here this morning to share with you what the Lord's done for me when you can go down about as far as you can go in life, that there's somebody out there that can pick you up and bring you real happiness and real peace, and that's Jesus Christ. And that's what He's done for me, and He's gave me a story to tell wherever I go, because you never know when somebody might be in those same shoes that I was in, that needs to hear it, and that needs to hear the Word of God. And I'm thankful to see a lot of people here that I've met through gospel music, and Charlie was aggravating me about, I don't know where he went to, aggravating me about, I got more hair on the bottom of my face than he does on top. And that's, he wanted to aggravate first thing this morning. But I love each and every one of you. Some of you I may not know, but that don't mean I don't love you. And I'm glad to be here this morning and to share with you my story of what the Lord's done for me. And I'll go back to when I was 8 years old. And the Lord, I went before the church when I was 8 years old, and I grew up in a home where I knew right from wrong. I never did see alcohol in my home. My parents, most of you know, my father is an old-time preacher, and my mom, who's a typical preacher's wife, and I knew right from wrong, and so I never did see things in my home that led me to do stuff that I shouldn't do. And I got two brothers. One's done gone on to be with the Lord, and I got one still living. And I'm anxious one day to see that brother that has done gone on, because I'm anxious to walk through them gates and let him know that I made it. And I'm anxious to get to heaven. And when I was 8 years old, I went before the church, and I thought I was saved. I was really, for myself, I wasn't at the age of accountability. I didn't know really much about being saved. I didn't know much about church, religion, Christianity, and I didn't know much about God. I was just really basically growing up. But a buddy of mine that I grew up with, he got saved, and I thought, well, since he's getting saved, I'm going to go and get saved. And so I went forth before the church, and told him I was saved and was baptized. And but later on down the road, I found out different. And music's always played about 85% of my life, and I've always loved music. I grew up listening to Southern gospel music, and when I came to the age of 12, my dad had an old Fender flat top guitar, and he told me, he said, if you learn to play this and take lessons, I'll give you this guitar. So I thought this would be something good, and this would be something I enjoy doing and have fun. And of course, I was just 12 years old, so something like that, I thought would be fun. And so I ended up taking lessons for about a year. And when I turned 13, of course, I turned in my teenager years, and I thought things was a little more important than learning to play a guitar. And I thought my school friends was more important. I just thought living life was more important than trying to learn to play this guitar. So I laid the guitar down and didn't pick it back up for about another year. And I picked it back up and started playing it, and started learning things on my own, and started learning how to play guitar and play songs. And so I picked it back up, and I started taking lessons again. And when I turned 15, I started playing with a group, the Cassidys. A lot of you may know that group, and I started playing guitar with them. And I started in '95, and when I started, I was just as green as could be, and I didn't know about playing with a group. I didn't know about the way about going to different churches and playing, and I was just green in the music business. And over 2 or 3 years, I really matured in gospel music, and started learning about the business part of it, and about playing and going to churches. And I left in 1998. I left the Casties, and I went and started playing with a group, the McCubbins family. A lot of you may know them. And I went and started playing bass with them in '98. And I wasn't a bad person at this time, but I just wasn't saved, and I thought I was. But the devil had me confused, and Satan is the author of confusion. And he had me confused that I was. And I'm going to tell you something, just because you're a good person, and just because you do good things, isn't going to get you into heaven. It's having that blood applied to your heart and being saved. And in '98, I started playing with the McCubbins family, and being some good services and good church services, people shouting, running aisles, and some good services. And I thought that I was feeling the Spirit of the Lord, but all I was doing was going through the emotions. And I didn't have the real deal in my heart to really be rejoicing about. And still didn't realize at this time that I wasn't saved. And I played with them for 6 years. And over those 6 years, I really learned a whole lot. If you know Haskell and Annette McCubbins, they're some of the smartest people that I know, and especially about gospel music. And I learned a whole lot from those two. And not only about gospel music, but about walking and living a spiritual life. Because if anybody walks the walk, talks the talk, it's those two. And I learned a whole lot from them. And but in 2004, I started getting burned out on gospel music, started getting burned out on church, and started getting burned out on going and playing gospel music. And most of all, I started getting burned out on God and Jesus Christ and church. I didn't care nothing about all that no more. And in 2004, I was playing, and I was just, it was about October 2004, I was just playing, and I wasn't enjoying myself, and I can remember the last 2 or 3 times going, I was just down and out, didn't want to do it no more. But I think the main thing that kept me in it, I wanted to please my dad. Most of all, wanted me to play, and I think the reason why I kept playing is because I wanted to please him, and wanted to make him happy. But in my mind and myself, I was getting burned out on it. And I had a couple buddies of mine that I came across that was playing rock and roll music. And they asked me about, I went to school with some of these guys, and some of them I knew from meeting them earlier in my life. And they asked me about playing bass with their rock and roll band. And I thought, well, this might be my opportunity to get out of gospel music and try a different atmosphere, and do something different with my life. And so I told him, yeah, I'll try playing guitar with you. And so I practiced, and ended up everything turned out all right. And I fit in pretty good. So I started playing with them. And for a long time, well, not for a long time, but for 3 or 4 weeks, I guess, I thought I could play both sides of the fence. I thought I could go out and play rock and roll in the bars and the parties, and at the same time go to church and play gospel music. And I'm going to tell you something, you can't serve God and serve the devil at the same time, because you're not going to win. And so something had to give. So I let go of the gospel music, and I started playing rock and roll music. And we played for 3 or 4 months, and during those 3 or 4 months, we was going to bars and parties and things, and pretty soon the atmosphere was just too tempting not to partake in it. And pretty soon alcohol started taking a big part in my life. And it didn't start right off huge amounts, drinking huge amounts. It started off maybe 1 or 2 beers when we go play. And what turned into those 2 beers turned into 4 beers. And what turned into 4 beers turned into 8 beers. And what turned into 8 beers turned into 10, and so on. And little by little, I started getting addicted to alcohol. And it didn't take long. It don't take long to fall in sin's trap. And so it didn't take long to start getting addicted to alcohol.